Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Low Voice. Today, I want to talk about something I sometimes feel, and I know many of you do too: modern solitude. This strange solitude that creeps in even when we're surrounded by people, connected, almost overwhelmed by virtual and social interactions. It sneaks into our lives and forces us to ask, what's really missing in our human connections today? I want to explore with you what this solitude means, why it's so present in our modern lives, and how we might perhaps transform it into an opportunity for growth. Modern solitude is not like what we used to describe in the past. It's not physical. It's not being alone on a deserted island or isolated in a cabin on a mountaintop. No, it's subtler, more insidious. It can appear in a room full of people or while scrolling through our screens surrounded by virtual friends. I remember a particular moment a few years ago. I was in a cafe in Dubai, a vibrant place full of life, laughter, and conversations. I looked around, and nearly every table was filled with people on their phones. Even together, they were somewhere else, in another space, another moment. And there I was, sitting alone, feeling a solitude that had nothing to do with being physically alone. Have you ever felt that? A kind of deep disconnection, even in the middle of everything? To understand modern solitude, we need to look at its origins. First, there's technology. Social media promises to connect us, but these connections are often shallow. A like, a comment, a message. It might make us feel seen, but are we truly understood? Constant comparison and unrealistic standards create an emotional gap. Then there's our pace of life. Modernity pushes us to rush, to fill our days with tasks, but rarely with moments of quality. Have you ever finished a day, checked all the boxes on your to-do list, and still felt empty? That feeling is often a gentle alarm, reminding us that quality moments are missing. I want to share a personal story. When I moved to Portugal recently, I experienced a mix of intense emotions. This move disrupted so many things in my life, including my friendships. Some friendships, even very close ones, became strained with distance. Yet, there are a few true friends who, despite the miles, have remained constant. I've been lucky, thanks to technology, to stay in touch with them. Some send comforting messages, while others even take the time to visit me. But ironically, the same technology that brings me closer to distant friends seems to sometimes push me away from those physically near me. It's a paradox of our time. We have the power to connect with someone thousands of kilometers away. And yet, how often do we neglect the people right next to us? It's a question I often ask myself. There's also an interesting paradox. Not all solitude is bad. Chosen solitude can be a blessing, a moment to find yourself, to grow. The real question is this solitude imposed or chosen? Imposed solitude is the one that makes us suffer, that makes us feel abandoned, invisible. But chosen solitude is when we step back to refocus, to rediscover ourselves. In a world as noisy as ours, learning to embrace chosen solitude is a precious skill. In this context, I've also learned that some friendships don't survive distance, and that's not always a bad thing. These gaps often reveal who the truly important people in our lives are. Social media, despite its limits, has allowed me to maintain these precious ties. But it has also made me reflect on the value of face-to-face connections, the ones that, despite their simplicity, create far stronger memories and emotions. So what can we do about modern solitude? Unmask false connections. Take a moment to evaluate your relationships. Which ones truly nourish you, and which ones drain you? Focus on quality over quantity. Try replacing a like or a quick message with a real conversation. A video call or an in-person coffee can make all the difference. Invest in yourself. Use moments of solitude to enrich yourself, to learn, to create. Sometimes it's by connecting with ourselves that we attract the most authentic connections with others. Modern solitude is not a fatality. It can be a gentle alarm, reminding us to return to the essentials: true relationships, time for ourselves, and reconnection with the real world. And you, dear listener, what does solitude mean to you? If this topic resonated with you, feel free to share your experience with me. Together, we are less alone. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Low Voice. I'm Amélie, and I'll see you very soon.